Hi, my name is Alejandro Perez, and this is the AI Coffee Podcast. Every week we will have one episode regarding one disruptive aspect of technologies for the time to drink a cup of coffee. Today we have Alejandro Borrallo Rentero, which is a colleague in our group in Fujitsu specialized in a really insightful domain called quantum computing. I don't know if you have heard that once in your life, but I guess that you will remember by the end of the episode. So he studied a bachelor degree in physics in Extremadura University. Then he did a master degree in theoretical physics in Universidad Complutense de Madrid. Then he has been working for more than 4 years as a quantum scientist in Accenture and Fujitsu. And also he's combining his experience as a quantum scientist with the role of professor in the Universidad Politécnica de Madrid. So the first question I would have to you is, how do you live the fact of teaching and working at the same time?
Hi, Alejandro. First of all, I'm really honored to be here. Teaching is a pleasure for me. When I first started in the University of Extremadura, I wanted to be a teacher. So it is something that I have always wanted to do. But of course, it is difficult to combine two jobs because I'm usually really tired. So it is difficult, but I like it a lot. I think that we are providing to the students meaningful insights because, of course, there are some teachers which are from the university and others which are from the, let's say, professional world. All of us provide to the students with meaningful contents.
May I ask your students maybe, what would they say about that?
Don't ask, just in case. No, I think that they are happy. I think that there are also all colleagues teaching in the master. There are also professors from the university, but I think that we provide them really useful insights about the real professional world.
It sounds like that. So what's quantum computing for you?
Okay, so what is quantum computing? The big question. I'm sure that this is not the first time that you heard about this technology because it is quite often in the technical newspapers. If I have to give a definition, I would say that quantum computing is a new technology or a new paradigm, maybe, that uses the features of quantum mechanics in order to compute information in a more efficient way than classical computers. When I say classical computers, I mean the personal computers that everybody can have in their homes, but I'm also referring to the biggest supercomputer that you can imagine in a data center. And how this is possible? This is possible mainly because of the capacity that quantum computers have to process information in parallel.
So I have one question because when you were talking before about quantum computing and quantum computers, you talked about classical computers. And I know a little bit because I am a physicist also, and I studied classical and quantum mechanics. But maybe for the rest, it's a little bit tricky. So for you, what are the difference from a quantum computer and a classical computer? Which are the main difference?
Yeah, I would say that the first more important difference between a classical computer and a quantum computer is the basic unit of information. You know that in classical computers, the unit of information is the bit. With 1 bit, you can have two different states, 0 or 1. Well, in quantum computers, the basic unit of information is the qubit. In a qubit, you can have also the classical states, you can have the 0 state and the 1 state, but you also have states that are superpositions of the 0 and 1 states, or that states that are, in other words, 0 and 1 at the same time. In fact, this is important because the capacity that a qubit has for representing information is much bigger than a bit. If you try to represent in a graphical way the possible states in a bit, you would have two dots. And in a qubit, the different possible states of a qubit are all the different points in a sphere of a radio of one. So you have infinite possible states. So you can imagine what this means. The capacity for representing information is much bigger.
Yes, I get your point. And that's also for people, if it's a little bit complicated, I guess that most of you know the Schrodinger's cat, like it's alive and dead at the same time. That's what we usually call superposition. And it is more or less what we are talking about. So instead of having the bits, as Alejandro, you were saying, 0, 1, or the states of the information, we have all at the same time. So the capacity of processing is quite much bigger, but also it's really hard to create these systems, right? So can you explain a little bit what is a quantum computer? Like, can I have one at home? Or how can I see a quantum computer? Does even exist a quantum computer?
First of all, there are many different ways to, let's say, build a quantum computer. Okay, there are many different technologies. In fact, IBM has its own quantum computer, also Google, also IonQ, and they use different approaches for, let's say, building the qubit. But I think that we are not going to have a quantum computer at home. Of course, not now, but I think that not in the future also. This is important because many people think that quantum computing is going to replace classical computing. But that's not the idea. Quantum computers are really difficult to build. You have to think that we are dealing with microscopic systems which are really sensitive, for example, to temperature or magnetic perturbations. So your system should be really isolated from the environment. So right now are quite expensive. So the idea is not that you are going to perform every calculation with a quantum computer. You are going to keep using Excel and Word and everything. The idea is that for the calculations that are really, really complicated, maybe calculations that we can't even perform now. For example, there are really complicated calculations in the field of material discovery or drug discovery. The idea is that we are going to use quantum computers for that kind of calculations to accelerate the calculations that are not possible with classical computers. But we are going to keep using classical computers for everything else. The idea is that we have to be able to integrate both technologies.
Yeah, that's true that Excel will run the world for at least a decade or more. And quantum computers, maybe they will be the present in a couple of years, but still, yeah, I guess that it's more like we are going to access them through our computers or something like that, right? Like we are sending them calculus or things, but not exactly like having one at home. So I have also one question, because I remember that when we were preparing this session, you mentioned that there is something also called quantum technologies, and quantum computing is a part of quantum technologies. But can you explain a little bit others, just to have a larger approach of how this AI is applied also in other domains?
Yeah, this is important because many people think that quantum computing is the only quantum technology, but in fact, the idea is a quantum technology is any technology that uses quantum mechanics for anything. For example, there are many, many different things that you can use, that you can do by using quantum mechanics. For example, there are a field of the quantum technologies, which is the quantum sensing. The idea is that you use the laws of quantum mechanics in order to be more precise in measuring There are also quantum cryptography. The idea is that you can use the laws of quantum mechanics in order to encrypt information or to transmit information in a more secure way, because the idea is that I'm not an expert in quantum cryptography, but the idea is that in quantum mechanics, you have to think that we are talking about microscopic systems in which the laws of physics are different from the laws of the world that we are accustomed to. In a quantum system, if you perform any measure, if you observe the system, you modify the system. So you can take advantage of that. If you use quantum mechanics to transmit information, if somebody tries to read your information, he's going to perturb your system. He's going to modify your system. You are going to know that somebody is looking at your information. And of course, apart from quantum sensoristic and quantum cryptography, you have quantum computing, which is the area in which you use quantum mechanics to perform calculations. But there are many other different uses for quantum mechanics.
Great. I was wondering, what's the future for quantum computing, in your opinion? And also, do you think this is a sustainable technology, or in the future that it will become sustainable?
Okay, I will start with the first question. The future for any emerging technology, I think, is something really, really difficult to forecast, but I'm going to give you my opinion. First of all, I think that nowadays, despite the developments that quantum computing has experimented in the last 4 or 5 years, which is impressive because quantum computing is a really young technology and the technology is improving a lot, but still quantum computers are not prepared to solve a real world problem. There is a phrase from Isaac Chuang, which is an MIT teacher, which summarizes, I think, the current state of quantum computers very well. He says that the thing driving the hype about quantum computing is that we realize that it is real, that it's not fiction anymore. Quantum computing has changed from being the dream of a physicist to be the nightmare of an engineer. This is the current state. I think we have quantum computers. The technology is evolving a lot, but yet the quantum computers are, let's say, small. There are still a lot of noise in the device. So let's say that we can perform only calculations for toy problems at this moment. Of course, the technology is evolving really, really fast. And I think that in the coming years, we are going to start to see applications in the real world. We are going to be able to solve real problems with quantum computers. Of course, there are many different applications of quantum computing. I think that some applications are going to be ready faster than others. Every expert says that the applications that are going to come first are the ones related with quantum chemistry. This is because when you try to research about a new material at the microscopic level, the material behaves like a quantum system. So for researching about that, you have to be able to simulate quantum systems with a classical computer. And classical computers are really, really bad simulating quantum system. And of course, quantum computing is a quantum system. So a quantum computing is much more efficient simulating quantum systems. So I think that these are the applications that are going to be ready first. Regarding the sustainability, I think that this question is even more difficult than the previous question. First of all, of course, you can't compare the energy consumption of a quantum computer with the energy consumption of a personal computer. This comparison wouldn't be fair. I don't have the information if a quantum computer is more efficient than a supercomputer. I have to say that the technology is still pretty young, so it's not really efficient. But I think that quantum computing is going to impact the sustainability, as thanks to quantum computing, we are going to be able to perform many of the tasks that we are doing right now in a more efficient way. In fact, in Fujitsu, we have been working in a project regarding route optimization, in which the main driver was to reduce the distance of the technicians. And this has a direct impact on the sustainability because you reduce the fuel consumption regarding the discovery of new materials. Thanks to quantum computing, we are going to be able to discover new materials that are more sustainable and more different kind of fuels. I think that definitely the quantum computing is going to impact sustainability. Right now, the energy consumption is really, really big for a quantum computer because you have to think that most of the quantum computers requires temperatures which are near to the absolute zero. And for being able to maintain the quantum computer at this temperature, you need a lot of energy, but these are the first prototypes. There are also another approaches, another technologies for quantum computers in which you don't need to have the chips in such a low temperatures. And I think that when technology improves and develops, we are going to see much more efficient quantum computers and much more sustainable quantum computers. We are looking at the first prototypes right now. If we looked at the first prototypes that we have of classical computers 60 or 70 years ago, we had computers of a size of a room. I'm sure that those computers were much less efficient than the computers that we have right now, energetically speaking.
Yes, that's true. And maybe if they are less efficient, as you were mentioning, by their really improved calculus, they will be able to give us answers to be more efficient in other domains. So yeah, that's true that it's a new topic that maybe in the future will be really important. So yeah, I agree with you. So just to end, I have a couple of questions to conclude the episode that I tried to ask to all of the people coming. So the first question would be, how do you like coffee?
Yeah, I think that honoring the name of the podcast, you should invite only people who likes coffee.
I have some friends that don't like coffee. And when I'm with them, it's like, really, you don't like coffee? I cannot rely on you.
Yeah. Me too. I love coffee. I try not to take too much. I only drink coffee in the morning and I like black coffee, but not black coffee at the Spanish style or the Portuguese style, which is a really strong black coffee. I like more like American kind coffee, but without sugar. And
Without sugar, directly.
Yeah, directly.
Wow. Really great.
Yeah.
And also, how can the audience follow you or contact you if they want to know more about quantum computing or about you? How can they contact you?
I think that I can send you my email and you can put the information of my email in the description. And I have to say that I'm really happy to answer any question and to, in general, to talk about quantum computing. I love this technology and I will be pleased if any of your followers send me an email.
Okay, so I will link it. Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Alejandro. It has been a great pleasure. You are really brave and really kind to be here, even though there is not any interview published yet.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm really honored.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alejandro.
Thanks for being here one more week. If you liked it, please subscribe to the podcast and to the newsletter in alejandroperezperez.com. Please share both with your friends and relatives and don't forget to give me 5 stars in Apple Podcast and Spotify. See you next week. Bye bye.